Hello, and welcome to Send It Back with Ultiworld and Triangle Ultimate. I'm Bridget Johnson. I'm going to let Sydney Rehder and Ella introduce themselves. Sid, go first.
I'm Sydney. I played on Warhawks from 2013 to 2018. When we won in 2017 and 2018, I was captain, and I now play for UNC Pleiades. And I played with Ella on Space Heater for club in 2019, is that the year? And on NC Galaxy with Ella and Bridget coached NC Galaxy as well.
Yeah, that was
I'm Ella. I'm from Arlington, Virginia. I played on Rogue in 2017 and 2018. We finished second both years. And I now play on Pleiades with Sydney, and also play on those club teams that she just mentioned.
And I'm Bridget Johnson. I coached Warhawks in 2017 and 2018, the two national championship years. So coached Sid, coached against Ella, and then coached them both for NC Galaxy. And then I also happen to be a Pleiades alum as well. So we have all of that in common. So, all right, I think we're gonna get the game started.
Ella, do you want to talk a little bit about what happened, the drama before this game?
Wait, are you referring to the quarter?
The Seattle, the quarterfinal with Seattle.
Yeah, sure. So our quarterfinal was against Seattle, which was the team who had never lost. So going to that quarterfinal, I was like super nervous. I kind of I don't know, my hopes were a little bit low just because they had literally never lost at YCCs. And then we ended up coming out on top, and that was honestly one of the most exciting games I've ever played. And then played semis, which was, wow, I can't even remember who we played against in semis. Oh, it was Bell, Cincinnati Bell. And then came into this game. We were all pretty tired, but definitely we were super excited. We came into the tournament as the 10th seed, so it was pretty unexpected to make it this far and super exciting.
Yeah, I know that like Ella mentioned, Seattle had always been the reigning champs at YCC. And Sid, do you want to talk a little bit about our path to this 2017 final?
Yeah, so I think if you played Girls Ultimate at YCC any time in the 2010s, there was a lot of competition. Everyone wanted to beat Seattle basically since they won all the time. So the whole time that I was playing at YCCs, it was how do we beat Seattle? How do we get out of third place and finally make it to the finals? So we played Valley Ultimate, I think. Was that right, Bridget? In quarters? The BUDA team. And then played BUDA in the semifinal, which was a super heated game and very competitive. And then we made it to finals, but it wasn't against Seattle, which was kind of weird because I think that's what we were all expecting to see in the finals. But it was still this game was super competitive and really fun. So I'm glad it was against Rogue and not Seattle. It was still nice to get vengeance against Seattle in 2018, though.
Yeah, I remember the quarterfinals when Rogue played Seattle. We had finished our quarterfinal and heard from a couple fields over that Rogue was up on Seattle, and we all ran to that field. And I remember watching Ella and Rogue score that winning point. So, all right, this was a rough first point for us. I didn't count the turns, but yeah, it was. I don't know, Sid, do you remember the vibe on the team? Was there a lot of nerves or just?
I think that we were definitely nervous. We had just come off a really close game with BUDA that we had gone down against early, so there was definitely a lot of excitement, but we were also super nervous. It's the first time in the finals. Yeah, I don't know, you're 16 years old, so it's definitely intimidating. More people started coming on the sidelines, and this game was being streamed, which at the time was pretty unprecedented. And I had only played defense on Warhawks this year, so we had our O-line out. And I think that they were just experiencing a little bit of nerves and had a lot of drops and miscommunications. I think on both sides it looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
For the viewers out there, this Warhawks 2017 O-line is like the most stacked girls O-line, I think, at YCC. There's so many people on this team, on this specific line, that are like incredible now. Caitlin Year, who, if you don't know who she is, that's shocking. Karen Earhart, and then Abby and Margaret Berry, who played in for the Boone high schoolers in high school, and Abby now plays at App State, are both incredible, super fast.
Yeah, Alyssa Earhart also on this O-line, and then Ella Juengst right there on the mark. And then we have one more. Or is that it? Can't count this.
I think that's it.
It's been a while since we played Frisbee.
Ellen had an awesome game in this game.
Yeah, she did.
When I was rewatching it, I was like, wow.
So the funny thing is, in this stream, the commentators, they talk about her backhands all the time, but Ellen's like superpower is her inside flicks that she loves to throw, but then in this game she was just like, no, I'm just gonna throw everything.
Yeah, Ellen is notorious for her inside flicks. She has maybe one of the best inside flicks I've ever seen. It's so zippy, and yeah, I noticed that when I was rewatching it as well. The commentators are like, "Oh, you with that backhand again," and I'm like, "Does Ellen even throw a backhand?" There we go. We finally scored.
Yeah, I remember that point just being so long.
There you are. There's Ella on handler D.
Oh, look how tiny she is.
Yeah, I look so small.
Ella, have you grown since then?
Not sure. I think the uniforms don't really do my height much justice, though. The shorts are very long.
There you go. Look shorter than you actually are.
Hopefully.
So that's Rachel Hess that just threw away passed away the dish. She has the white hat on. Tell us about Rachel Hess, Ella.
Yeah, she definitely really quarterbacked this team with Kirsten Nimesley. They were like our two kind of center handlers. She goes to Oregon now, plays for Fugue. She's just super solid with the disc. Like, she was like our go-to like big thrower, and just pretty much went every other on this point.
I promise you, she jumps about as high as anyone I've ever.
There's Ella with the disc.
I'm pretty sure.
Doesn't
say much, but and a nice catch
Ooh,
there by
nice grab, Kirsten.
Come down with that with both hands. And again,
that's Kirsten Nimesley. She went to HB Woodlawn with me, and she goes to William and Mary now, and she's super great for them. She's crushing it.
Looking for Caroline Tornquist.
There you go, Ella with
Is it the Woolly?
What did you see there, Zach?
The Woolly Mammoths, right? Is William and Mary now? Or is
I
it something
think they're
else?
Cyprus.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I don't know where you got that from.
I don't know. It's WM. Maybe it's somewhere else.
I'm surprised that they didn't go for a shot to Caroline or Ella there, which is maybe
Dang, got burned a little bit and it's in there.
whichever team I think can manage that first.
Happens to the best of us.
Be a step up in this game.
Yeah.
First team to score.
So here our O-line again. Fun fact, I checked with my co-assistant coach, Mike Shyu, and he was doing all the subbing and keeping track of stats and things like that this tournament weekend, and he said that going into this finals game, this O-line had only been broken, so they'd only been scored on 5 times.
That's Colbrick.
So they really
That's so impressive.
got their job done and gave Sid and the defense the opportunity to get out there and wreak some havoc.
Oh,
there's Ellen's inside
There's
flick.
that inside flick.
There was some really nice
as
patience.
predicted.
Staying with that play. Earlier today, watching the Warhawks play, they did a great number of plays.
Ellen Yu, who threw that assist, she's number 14 right here. She's now at Vanderbilt.
You got what you thought was a D,
she's playing there.
And now you get to throw your O-line back.
And then that's Margaret Berry that catches the
around the different divisions.
catches that
for those
goal.
of you that just joined us, this is the 2017 YCC U20 Girls.
Got the D-line out. I think at this point we sort of settled into things. The Warhawks were running, with this whole tournament, we ran this crazy poach defense that nobody really could figure out, where we would poach sort of in the handler lanes and sort of in the cutting lanes, and sometimes we would switch to person, either on the handlers or the cutters. And it was so weird that no teams could really figure out what we were doing. Wow, look at that awesome person defense that I'm playing.
Stood on the mark right there.
You saw Caroline's eyes get a little big there as Ella started to go deep for one of her favorite.
One thing I noticed that was Caroline Turnquist that just threw that to Ella. I really like the way she uses her fakes to kind of direct where she wants her cutters to go. She did that a lot in this game, and she's now at Dartmouth. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, she was another one of our she was another one of our super solid throwers. Just super consistent, especially in this wind. It was a little windy in this game, I think, from what I remember.
Yeah.
I think it sort of picks up as the game goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. The announcers, that's Cammie Hastings that just scored. The announcers keep talking about the wind, but y'all don't make it look as windy as I remember it being. Like, the throws and such don't look like it's that windy, but I do remember it being kind of gusty and upwind, downwind.
They're excited to get some of these ready-made products.
Oh, yes.
Catherine.
Yeah, they're talking about Cammie Hastings going to UCLA.
And that's Connie Sway, who assisted Cammie, who goes to UNC also. Go Pleiades. The first of many shameless plugs. Come to UNC.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that you said Connie's last name first, because I am horrible at pronunciations of last names. With a last name like Johnson, it's not something that you necessarily have to think about all the time. And I remember Connie, this was Connie's last year at YCC, and then she came to play for Pleiades, so I overlapped with her for 1 year. And at Nationals in 2018, our Pleiades game against Pitt was being filmed, and as a captain, they came and asked me kind of how to pronounce everyone's last names, and I had no idea how to pronounce any of my teammates' last names. There's Ella with the hockey assist.
Great throw.
Yeah, another Rachel Hess. Just insane throw.
And that was also another thing that we forgot to talk about the Raleigh.
Okay, Ella, I know you mentioned that a few of these girls went to HB Woodlawn with you, but tell us more about kind of where these rogue teammates all played high school, if they did.
Yeah, so we were just talking about Rachel Hess. She played for Wiley, which was a combination team between Yorktown and Washington Lee High School. And then, so about a good portion of the people played for Wiley and a good portion played for HB, and then a few from DC area, DC area, like Wilson, Grace Alston, Joelson, she goes to Dartmouth now. Yeah, I can name more as that's on the Marcus Ellie Heil. She also went to HB Woodlawn.
On the Warhawks roster, so got a little bit of chemistry going already just from having to grow up together.
And Sid, for the Warhawks, tell us about kind of the high school teams that we're dealing with and where everyone's playing.
Yeah. So I think that there were 4 or 5 high school teams at this time. So there was the Durham team, which was sort of like a combo. There weren't enough girls from one high school, so they would combine a lot of the time. And then there was Green Hope High School, and East Chapel Hill High, and then there was like a combo Koi, I think is the combo team, and that was like Carborough area. Basically everyone who didn't have a place to go played on that team. And then we also had the Boone high country homeschoolers like coming down to practices every couple of weekends and playing with us.
So on that Boone team is Margaret and Abby Berry, who we'll see a lot in this game, as well as Karen and Alyssa Earhart.
Yeah. Crazy that there is that much talent in tiny town in the mountains.
There's a CFS, a Carolina Friends School team as well, or was that combined with Koi?
I think at that time it was still Koi. I think in 2017 it was still Koi, and then it switched to CFS. I don't know, honestly. Girls' high school ultimate in the triangle was chaotic.
Yeah, I remember at school, just there was always this one insanely stacked North Carolina team at all the tournaments.
That would be Koi. Or a lot of the time we comboed. Wow, what a nice throw. This is the D.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Ella D on...
Count it,
Ella D on Karen, who's about a head taller than her.
Karen caught so
many
skyballs this game. Yeah.
Yeah. Ella, if I was taking stats, I'd give you the D on that.
Thanks, Bridget.
What were some of y'all's favorite YCC matchups? So, like, your particular matchup, your favorite person to play against. Or potentially least favorite because it was difficult, but you still respected it.
I definitely this year I marked Dawn a lot, which I do all the time now, and it's super fun matchup. She challenges me. And in 2018 I marked up on Cleo a lot, who's also a huge challenge, but super fun to play against. Yeah, definitely those are two of my favorites.
So that's Dawn Holden, who's now your Tweety's teammate.
Yeah, sorry.
And roommate.
Didn't do that. Yep.
You're good. And Dawn just had a birthday, so happy birthday, Dawn. And then Cleo Phillips. Cleo just graduated and is going to Colorado.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah.
Sad.
Not sad. Tweety's wanted that. Tweety's wanted Cleo to come
would have been nice, but it's okay.
Sid, your favorite
I think probably
YCC.
Carolyn Turnquist, CT. I guarded her in 2018 as well, but I feel like it's fun to guard her because she is a versatile player, so she like keeps you on your toes a lot. At least in high school, playing at YCC, she was like a cutter and a handler for Rogue, which was nice that I don't generally guard cutters now and didn't really when I was in high school. But it was nice to not just be standing on the secondary handler, like waiting for the dump the whole time, which is a lot of the times what would happen in high school since we didn't really use dumps as well as we could have, perhaps.
Surveying, looking for a reset. Nice handler defense there. Second one gets it over to Urquhart.
So Kate Lanier, we mentioned earlier, I think she, at this time, at the 2017 championship run, might have been the longest standing triangle YCC player. I tried to check with her earlier today, but I think she started playing YCCs when she was like 12 years old or something.
Yeah, she started in 2012. So I think she was, in fact, the youngest. At 7th grade.
So however old you are in 7th grade.
Yeah.
I think she was on the first Triangle Ultimate Girls YCC team, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't know if in 2011 it was a different name or if there was like a year off there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let us know in the chat. Triangle high schoolers or coaches if you know.
So did you pull that, or was that Beth?
This looks like the O-line. Is this the O-line? I can't tell.
Rachel Hess currently doing
I can't see anyone who's on the field. I think that we might be pushing here with our O-line. So the Warhawks strategy. The Warhawks strategy was often to. I think this is our secondary D-line actually, but
yeah,
we would often push with our D-line or our O-line when we wanted to break. So like I think for half, for example, we would keep the O-line on because it was so stacked and try and break. Yeah, this is a secondary D-line.
Colton and Mantarek are really doing a good job of sagging and taking away those lanes.
I think our cutters are struggling a bit with.
Yeah, this is our poachy zone. The wall.
We seem a little confused out there.
The commentators for this game are both from DC, and rewatching it is so painful because every time anything bad happens for Rogue, they're like, "Oh, no,
yeah.
a turnover."
I wonder if they're gonna try to test this Urquhart Ella Juengst matchup in the air. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, the Earhart Ella matchup.
Interesting choice. I don't know why.
I like it. I like it.
Definitely a challenge. Definitely a challenge.
For sure.
Kind of fun though.
You did a great job on it.
Trying to call for a shot. Looks like she wants an inside and
oh my
that
gosh.
Dawn catches.
So that's me right there in the white shirt, like in Dawn's face immediately. I remember that moment distinctly, like
that
watching her
crazy.
lay out right in front of me. It was insane.
Yeah.
I was so
crazy.
pumped. Yeah.
Caroline Turnquist is the one guarding her, and I remember after that point, our coach Jenny Fay like went up to her and was like you did everything that you could have to like prevent her from catching that, and she just made an insanely amazing play.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those things where you just tell your opponent good job and walk the other way.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing else you could have done. All right,
Yeah.
here's a Sydney poll.
There it is.
Boom. Sid, do you still pull in the college game?
I do, but often out of bounds now. I think I've actually gotten a lot worse at pulling since high school.
Have you
Yeah.
ever been taught how to pull? Was it just something that someone was sort of like, okay, Sid, you have to pull this disc, or?
Well, I started like playing on the high school team. I just sort of did it since I was one of the only ones who could throw on my team, like past 5 yards. And I just did it for Warhawks, and Brian Dobbins like would do little clinics with me about pulling with the like 2 or 3 other people on Warhawks who would pull for us.
Oh, tragic.
Oh no.
Yeah, I definitely should not have gone up for that, but
Did you know she was there? Do you remember?
I do not remember that play,
Yeah.
but I feel like I probably did not.
I think that shot was to Tornquist, but they
That's
both in
tough.
spot. And shot comes the other way. Kirsten on the D. Can't get there. Falls off.
One of my favorite things about YCC and Youth Ultimate in general is the when someone makes kind of an insane catch in either a crowd of people or something like that, and then they grab the disc and they're like, "Yay!" and then continue to play. That happens a couple times in this game
Yes.
where it's like,
I got it.
yeah, it's like a mob of people. Someone grabs the disc and like there's a quick celebration before you continue to play.
Yeah. It's definitely very exciting, especially like when you have a teammate that's only played for 3 months and they do something like really awesome and everyone just freaks out. Like, how did you do that? Where did you learn to do that?
Yeah.
Have to go against this zone, and they can maybe set something of their own.
Yeah, that was certainly, as a coach, that was certainly something that I think I was like getting super hyped for your teammates. And there you go, Ella.
Nice
grab. Catch. But yeah, I think the Warhawks taught me more about like being really hyped for your teammates and just celebrating all the small wins.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in the college division, there's a classic Ella goal celebration.
That is
with
pretty
the
classic.
Run in a little view and then just throw the disc back.
Yeah, I definitely in high school and at YCCs, I like would spike it every now and then, but I had been like I remember in one game at YCCs, the other coach like told me to like stop spiking it, so I just tried to be very cautious about like throwing the disc on the ground aggressively, even though sometimes definitely want to.
Yeah, I don't think I spiked it at all until I got to college because I think in girls ultimate especially there was like this idea that like it's mean to spike it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I just won't do it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get to college and everyone is like kick spiking it, head spiking it, like all sorts of stuff. So
I was definitely always pretty
fun.
Frustrated by that. Just kind of a double standard. 'Cause the boys would always spike it.
Still running that host stack. Oh, I thought they were going to send that shot up to number...
So Sid, they just said we're running a host stack. Do you want to talk a little
That's
bit
fun.
About, without giving too much away? Do you want to talk a little bit?
I want to give away the trade
about
secrets.
what we're running. Yeah.
Yeah.
No trade secret.
So the Warhawks ran a system based on chemistry and athleticism, I think is the best way to put it. Basically, we didn't really have a system. And our cutters and throwers were like talented and athletic enough that they just sort of ran around and got open. And I think that was really challenging for defenses to figure out because like we would run things like that you can't really see coming because there isn't a system. It's hard to coach against defensively because you don't know like what the offense is going to do. Is it a host stack? Not really. But it's also not a vert stack.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would run set plays to start it off. We had jet.
It's a little... Yeah, it's called jet. A little in between a host stack and a vert stack. But definitely think that we were fortunate. Go ahead.
I don't think that I ever ran jet at YCCs. I don't know if the O-line ran it. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's pretty good.
It was definitely one of those
things
mostly...
where... Go ahead.
You go. You got it. You got it.
Okay, it was one of those things where we were fortunate enough, as you said, to have some pretty insane chemistry just from people who have played for a long time and played together for a long time. They've mentioned a few times, like, we have two sets of sisters that are frequently on the line together, and those four girls would play together in Boone all the time, and then this Warhawks YCC team. An inside flick from Ellen, is that what you're gonna say?
I was gonna say, so this is the first year the Triangle Tourist was a thing. In 2017, we started doing this like club team essentially. Oh, this is the moment, isn't it, Ella?
That's Ella.
The beginning of the beef.
Ella layout D'ing her now teammate Don Colton.
Yeah. I accidentally kind of like got stuck like laying on top of her for a second, and yeah, it was a little bit of tension, but it was okay. We're good.
Luckily, they weren't hot mic'd then. But yeah, this was the first year that Taurus existed, which was basically like is a club girls team from the Triangle that goes to college tournaments. So at the time, it was a pretty small team of like basically 15, 14. Sometimes we would even have just like 10 girls going to these college tournaments and playing a whole weekend together. So I think that really built a lot of chemistry that not a lot of the other girls teams at YCC had, since you only really get 3 months to build your team. And we sort of cheated the system by making a club team that was practicing year round, since Taurus and Warhawks were pretty much the same team.
Yeah. And playing against college teams. So while I was coaching the Warhawks in the summer, then in the fall, as a college player for Pleiades, I was then playing against all these girls in the Triangle Taurus, and quite frequently they would beat us, and it was just like, ugh, why?
Yeah.
They still beat us.
Yeah.
Is that 7-5?
I believe 7-6. Players and
So this game is still really tight.
coming to
I honestly, I think I blacked out. Oh.
2 more years of eligibility.
Yeah, Don was not pleased about that.
Big pull from the Warhawks.
That's funny.
Nice to see her back on the field after she took an injury that last point. Good thing she's feeling all right. And again, this 3-3 junkie zone should be no surprise, right, Zach? It's been so effective.
I agree.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how you were feeling with this zone? Like, was it frustrating to have, like, not be able to run your normal offense?
Yeah, I definitely think it was frustrating because we also just didn't have enough time to like practice zone offense a lot because the season is so short. So we definitely like had way less experience like working through a zone. And I think you can kind of tell in the way that we're playing. So yeah, I also just personally I feel like I kind of look like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I think a lot of us just didn't have a ton of experience like working with something like this, especially something that's not like a classic like 3-person cup, which would be way more common I think in like Youth Ultimate. So yeah, definitely I think we were all pretty frustrated. But luckily we had like a lot of like strong throwers who could kind of work in the backfield like you're seeing now. Oh, Kirsten. But yeah, a lot of strong handlers like Rachel Hess, Kat Sands, who is another one of our, she played for Wiley as well, and you'll see her in the backfield a lot. Caroline Turnquist, Kirsten Isley. So we had those throwers that could kind of work it until we could break through, but definitely I think we did not have as much experience working with something like that. But
great catch there by Urquhart. Really boxing out well, reading the distance.
Urquhart.
So yeah, the last name.
What are the different pronunciations of Earhart that we've heard over the years?
Urquhart, Earhart, Urquhart. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so
I
many.
feel like I saw a video.
Yeah, we had a low light video that had all the different mispronunciations.
Sure,
Funny.
absolutely. And go ahead and continue to
Karen and Alyssa are now playing at Carleton together. Well, they were.
Karen has graduated.
Karen graduated. That's right. And Kate Lanier was at Carleton with them as well. And Gigi, is Gigi on Warhawks this year, or is it?
Yes, next year.
Oh,
yeah, there's a real Carleton pipeline on the girls and boys side in the triangle here.
Yeah.
So we just had halftime, and I remember at halftime, the crowd started getting bigger. So the Triforce final was on the field that was across it was like catty corner to our field. And the crowd sort of started building on their field, and then there were a lot of people on our side. And I think that this is probably the biggest game that I had played in my career at this point. And I imagine it was probably the biggest game for everyone on the field. I don't know if maybe high school tournaments there were more spectators, but it definitely felt like with the cameras and everything, like this was big.
And now I'm being joined again by Zach. Sorry to kick you out there for some USAU friends.
Yeah, you can kind of see the crowds gathering.
Yeah, and it got louder. Everything is like, it's one more half of Ultimate, you know, so it's definitely more intense.
But Rogue was able to just confidently work it down the field. Nice pull, but unfortunately,
Yeah, I think you saw in that last point, like, how much more confident we looked when we were not playing against the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last point Ella assisted. It was really nice. Nice little lefty flick there.
You normally more of a handler, so it looks like that was a set play to let her get
Ella, did DC Rogue play pretty strict O&D? Did you do pod? Did you just call subbing?
We had a pretty consistent O&D. I think we had a couple D lines, and then we would cross people from the O line a decent amount. Like in this game, I think you'll see people crossing a lot. But yeah, definitely had pretty strict lines from what I remember.
This was a nice
Such a great
throw.
I know. Kate's flick comes out, like, I think the announcers at this point, or right before this, said something about it being kind of a high release flick. And Kate's flick, when it comes out high release, it's still just so nice.
Yeah.
I don't understand. That's a nice pull, Sid.
Hess fields the pull over to
Liam after the first look off.
Inbounds.
Side stack. Yeah, inbounds. This looks like
I think we ran like a split stack this year, which is something I hadn't really done before. So it was.
We had it. So close.
This is where we guard each other, Ella.
Oh yeah.
Yeet.
Oof, big throw.
Our strategy at this point in time on defense was to pick it up and throw it as far down the field as you could, since it was a little windy.
Yeah, it was downwind.
And we were trying to. Rogue was running a lot of the same lines, so I think we were really trying to tire out their offense just by putting it all the way down the field and then making them work.
All this to say that you intentionally threw it super far.
It was an intentional turnover, yes. I did it on purpose.
Totally on purpose. That's exactly what we told her to do.
I meant to throw it into the dirt. See? It worked.
There's us.
Ella telling everyone else what to do.
Wow. Oh, tragic. So that's Beth Mantruk on the mark, who now plays at Pitt. I don't think we've talked about her yet. But she's one of the main handlers for Pitt now, Danger.
Mm-hmm.
And is also in Ella and I's grade, so she'll be a junior. She was both Beth and I played on the D line for Warhawks, and she was super, super important to keeping things going in the backfield.
Beth has a
nice grab, Cat.
Beth has a tremendous, super long. And then, like you said, she's a handler for. She's got some incredible throws as well. So
that's a great find. A nice grab.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice little S-cut.
Came back to win 14-12 in a huge comeback. So a lot of good work. Grace Alston, really one of the unsung heroes of this team, I would say.
Ella, tell us a little bit about who y'all's coaches were.
Yeah, so our head coach was Jenny Fay, who is pretty famous. She played on DC Scandal for a long time, and then the past couple years has played on DC Space Heater with Sydney and I this past year. She's a legend. She's awesome.
Goat.
And we also had Fred Wolf coaching us. And then we also had a third coach, Julia. I'm totally blanking on her last name right now. But this year we had a third coach, and so it was really awesome to have like such a, I don't know, kind of a diverse group of coaches. And yeah, just like kind of divide up the load, and I think it was awesome.
Colton back over to Urquhart.
On our side, we had me, and then I think we've mentioned both Mike Shyu and Brian Dobbins. Brian is a Triangle Ultimate legend.
USA Ultimate legend, really.
Yeah, I believe he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think he was inaugurated this past year. Yeah. He's like one of the best, like, he just thinks about Frisbee in a way that was so, like, simple, but also, like, no one else was thinking about it the way that he was. And I think it was really helpful for him to be able to coach a group of young people, because we were so willing to try anything that he, like, wanted to throw at us. So we had so many different, like, creative defenses and offenses, and yeah. And then to have you and Mike calling lines, and like you being so good at hyping people up and like bringing water and carrying snacks around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, our third coach was Julia Petro. I was just told her name. And she went to JMU, played there, and then has also played on a bunch of the DC club teams, and helped out a lot in the like coaching scene and for high school and middle school and stuff.
As she gets older, she'll get a little better at sliding in instead of having to do that shoestring.
Timeout called by Caitlin here.
Veteran call.
Veteran call.
Last two attempts didn't go very well for them.
So I know we've talked about the two sets of sisters that were from Boone. We also had Bethany McDill, who was a Boone girl, as we called them. We had the 5 that would come down to the Triangle from Boone. That was about a 4-hour drive. And then the weekend or 2 weeks before YCC, we would return the favor and have the whole team go up to Boone kind of for a last weekend of practice, retreat, YCC send-off. So I think those 5. Sid, am I forgetting anyone from the Boone?
I'm pretty sure that in 2018, that's correct. We had 2 other girls, or for 2017, that's correct. I think we had a few more in 2018, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
This point, so coming out of this timeout, DC's defense is so tight. Like that last throw was the rogue defender was right on her. That was honestly almost kind of a lucky catch, just a good running through the disc.
This is Ava Jones with the disc. She goes to Oregon, went to HBU with me as well.
Oh, a bomb.
Wow. Is that Karen?
Almost worked. Yeah, that's Karen.
Classic.
I think if Karen hadn't been there, it probably would have worked, though.
Yeah. She's a pretty hard matchup in the air.
Yeah, for a lot of things. Yeah. So Rogue has some of this 2017 Rogue team is at Oregon, some at Dartmouth. You're at Carolina.
Yeah.
I think you said William and Mary.
Yeah, UVA. Some other in-state Virginia schools represented VCU, Mary Washington.
Instead, what about this 2017 Warhawks team?
So obviously UNC, and then Carleton, that we've already talked about those 2. Ellen went to Vanderbilt. We have Pitt, NC State. There's a few girls on here who went to NC State. I'm going to pull it out of bounds here. Oh no, not that one.
It was in.
The last defensive point we played, I pulled it out of bounds like 20 yards in front of the end zone. We had Cammy went to UCLA. I'm trying to think where else. I don't know.
Absolutely.
All over the place, really. I think a lot of people this year went to like small schools as well.
How many people did you graduate this year? Because I know for us it was like we only had like, I think 2.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, 4.
Yeah.
I think it was 3. I think it was Connie,
Abby, Connie, and Bethany. Is that right? Zoe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Zoe Chen, Connie, Karen,
Abby graduated this year too.
Yeah, Abby. I think Cammy and Bella Stinkler.
Okay, so like,
that was her last year. Esther, yeah. A fair amount, actually.
Yeah, that's like 8.
North Carolina Ultimate.
Yeah.
And they've been doing the little things real big. They've been staying to Warhawks alliances.
We love doing the little things real big.
I think a lot of names haven't mentioned yet.
Looks like we're crossing quite a few people here.
Yeah.
It's getting down to crunch time.
Yeah. So soft cap is about to go off or has already gone off, I think.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember the time rules, but there's definitely a lot of people on the sideline now.
So more tents popping up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This again is just like, I don't know how we're
It's
getting
so
it to
tight.
each other because, yeah, Ella, y'all's defense is just like insane. There's a timeout. All right, coming out of this timeout, this is one of my favorite end zone ISO sets that we do.
A very accomplished defender, and Kat Sands is a strong mark. So we'll see if this Lanier.
So Caroline on the ISO.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that's another.
Sneaky.
Is that a Brian Dobbins?
Yeah. Definitely Brian Dobbins play right there.
Yeah. Like Sid was.
This is the out of bounds one. Nope, inbounds. What is the score of this game go to?
It goes to
Is it 15?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
your out of bounds goal is like at the very end.
The last one.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That third handler. So in that rogue play, the second handler from Rogue did an upline cut, and the third handler was still just a little too far on the.
I remember this play because I just made eye contact with Beth, and I was like, well, guess I'm going to throw it, and then it worked.
Yeah.
Just totally stranded. I was like, I have to put it somewhere.
Chemistry things. Rachel is right.
Yeah.
Rachel Hess, again, she's
Yeah.
right there.
Like, inches.
She's on the 4 side, like, it's just Sid being a butthead. Threading the needle right there.
That rolls, making it a little bit harder to field. Hess up to Knisley, looking downfield to Sands, their typical initiating cutter. Over to Hess, rockets it into Tornquist. Tornquist thinks...
Ella, am I correct in thinking that you also played some mixed YCC?
Yeah, the 2 previous years, 2015, 2016, I played with Swing Boat, which was our mixed team. Yeah, won 2 championships. Pretty fun.
There you go. And then, so this 2017 year, what was the motivation behind the decision to switch from the swing boat mix to Rogue girls?
Yeah, I think a lot of us just kind of wanted to switch things up. Yeah, personally for me, I love mixed, but I also really enjoy playing women's ultimate. So personally, I just wanted to switch things up and see what we could do with a women's team. And it ended up working out pretty well. Yeah, that was sweet.
That's really nice. Nice guarding her.
So was there a group of you from Swing Boat that decided that year to...
Yeah, definitely. I think most people were on the same page, including the guys as well. I think a lot of them wanted to go to the open division. But yeah.
Quit while you're ahead.
Tired of winning championships.
It's funny because around this time, a lot of the teenagers, high schoolers, wanted to start a mixed team in the triangle because we were like, surely we will win. Since after 2017, we both won, and we were like, well, the next best thing would be to win together on a mixed team, but sadly it never happened.
Yeah.
Clear play from the middle.
Up to Urquhart. Urquhart looking deep. Barry's pointing for. Decides to holster. Back around to Urquhart.
And now, the shot goes up a huge inside.
Oh my goodness.
Shot. Wow.
She wanted that one back, you could tell. The second she released it, she was sort of like, oh God, what have I done?
Break here with a lot of their typical D-line players. This would really be a huge
One of the things that I also really loved about coaching this Warhawks team is that
great catch. Is that
when players make mistakes like that, like a throw goes not exactly how you want it to, or you bobble a catch and drop it, a lot of the times the Warhawk player who made the mistake will then come back and get a turn because they just take it so personally and will turn around and play really hard. Ella, I think that was pretty true of the DC Rogue team as well. Obviously, I don't know the personnel as much, so it was harder to keep track, but I know for the Warhawks that was certainly something where it was like someone made a mistake, they were ready to get a hand block 2 seconds later.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that, like, I remember that being sort of a thing where, especially on the O-line, if someone made a turnover, they were so, they cared so much about not being broken that, like, they really didn't want to be broken, since it was such a, what do you say, 5 breaks the whole weekend, Bridget, that year?
Yeah. Before
I think
this
it was, yeah.
That was a great
Just
run through D. Who was that, Ella, that run through D right before this?
Right before this.
I think they said it was Chloe Buell.
Yeah. She goes to Dartmouth now as well.
There you go. There's a little pipeline.
Yeah, she's the year below us, so I was looking forward to like seeing her play this season, but sadly, not. But yeah, she's super solid, super quick.
We also have a Warhawk, JQ, Jen Huang. Is that pronunciation correct?
I don't know.
Again. Yeah. But so JQ is now at Dartmouth too, so I think it's interesting in this finals game you have so many players playing against each other that then go on like you two, Sid and Ella, to be college teammates. So
yeah.
Tries to throw to Coco. Coco's doing a great job initiating cutting this point for Ava Jones. A lot of these D-line players are being put.
How is it now that the two of you?
All the cuts, and they're doing a good job. This is a great from this DC.
Oh no.
Flick up field and
we'll survive without her.
Good try there. Looks like they had 2.
Oh, is that Dawn or Kate?
I think that was Kate.
Yeah, and Kaylee had a pretty good bid, but going downwind that throw is hard. Now I think. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wonder how this game would have turned out if this point had gone the other way.
Yeah,
it's a long one.
Unfortunate turn there for Rogue. Look for you to try for this around backhand.
Just getting your O-line, like stack that line, and they just get more tired. Tragic.
With some big hucks and scoring on that nice little 4-side cut there. Nice easy offense.
So what I'm seeing from Rogue, especially.
Mary asked in the chat, Mary if you asked, Ella and Sid, what were your initial thoughts going into college and knowing that you would be playing on the same college team together? Did you know each other well enough to have thoughts? Do you want to give? You go.
Oh, in 2018, I remember I saw Ella at College Nationals, and at that point you had committed, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
I think we said hi to each other, but I didn't really ever guard Ella or know her that well.
Yeah.
She was just, we didn't really guard each other that much, so we didn't talk often. I mean, I was definitely excited to have her come
Yeah.
to UNC, obviously, because you're good. We had a Facebook group with me and Dawn and Ellen Yu, who at that point was going to UNC, and then she ended up going to Vanderbilt. Oh, welcome back, Bridget. And then I don't remember who else was in it, but yeah. I was excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have any beef with Ella. I don't know if Ella had beef with me at that point, but I was just glad that more people were coming.
Yeah, I was definitely excited. I definitely, I guess, knew Dawn a little better just because I had marked her more and like talked to her more, and from Worlds. But yeah, I was definitely just very excited to play against with all of them instead of against.
Alston moving around. Number 15, Jennifer Kwan, one of their D-line stalwarts, go up to Sydney Rehder.
Yeah, Jennifer Kwan is who we were talking about that is now at Dartmouth. And that was about 30 seconds ago. Connie with the point block, and here she is with the score.
Wow, I really thought Kira was going to get that.
Yeah.
Connie the GOAT.
Yeah.
Connie played great this game.
Yeah.
That was a nice throw.
This comeback's going to be pretty rough now for the Warhawks.
Throw from Beth. Cheeky
yeah,
little.
That's a good like high stall throw to the break side.
Yeah.
Trailing away.
Yeah. She had a couple other. That's Emma Bartlett that was also in the area, and someone else I couldn't see before it moved.
Bridget, Fred Wolf asked if we did any scouting of Rogue before the game or have any pregame adjustments either year.
Obviously, the second year in
Oh no.
2018, we kind of knew. Did I break out?
Yeah, you're good
A little
now.
bit. You're good now.
Okay, sorry. So obviously in 2018 we knew the personnel just from the first year. In 2017, Mike, Brian, and I did a little bit of scouting, but kind of the Warhawk deal was that we were mostly focused on ourselves and mostly worried about us playing our game. So while the coaches knew a little bit about what matchups we wanted and stuff like that, we didn't necessarily talk about it as a team. So.
And I don't know if I did this both years, but I often ended up calling matchups on the D-line. So I don't think that I really had any inside knowledge besides knowing who the main people were and playing against them in high school, and then just picking our most athletic defenders and putting them on the handlers. But yeah.
Just throughout the game as well. So.
Yeah.
Scout a lot, or was it?
What did you say?
Did you all scout a lot, or did you mostly just play your game?
Are you talking to me? Or us and both
I think
of us?
yes. You got it. You.
I don't remember ever like specifically like going out and for the purpose of scouting, but we would definitely like want to watch like other teams' games. But yeah, never like specifically like I'm like let's go and like watch like this specific play or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely always exciting and like fun to like see teams before you knew you were gonna play them.
And I remember we would go and watch. We would go and watch other teams like during our buys or during the games just to see like what was up. Not that we were necessarily doing like advanced scouting, but
right.
You know, like 2017 high school ultimate wasn't exactly the most advanced thing either, so it was pretty easy to get a grasp on what the teams were doing.
Yeah. I definitely think our coaches did some scouting though on both Swing Vote and Rogue. Oh, display haunts me, but
there it is.
there it is.
Ella, I swear you had that when that happened.
Yeah, should have run it out, but it's okay.
You can see it on the replay. You're so close. Do you have nightmares about this play?
Oh yeah, all the time, still.
Taking the contact from Taylor for a bit of an and one, and what a great win here for the Warhawks. They've been so impressive all weekend. Grinding out that win against BUDA in the semis and coming back here and winning in the
Who else is there? Nola, I don't think we've mentioned.
Nola goes to somewhere in New
Vassar.
York. That's right.
I think Vassar College.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Zoe Chen is at Savannah College of Art and Design. So yeah, there it is.
I do remember also immediately after we sort of wrapped this up, the Triforce boys were playing, so like the first thing that we did after we like hugged and celebrated and stuff was run over to the boys game and watch them finish up against BUDA, which also the end of that was very exciting. Yeah. And you get to watch it in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that boys game is coming up next. They also have a Triangle Ultimate coach and player, as well as a BUDA player that will be commenting as we did. So any final thoughts, Sid, Ella, anything else to say about that game or how much you miss Frisbee?
Yeah, definitely miss it a lot. For me, YCC's was always like such a fun and unique like weekend. I just looked forward to it so much every year. I'm very excited to go back to playing.
Yeah, same. It was so fun. I feel really deeply like missing college nationals this year. I think feels pretty similar to any of the high schoolers out there having to miss YCC. So definitely sucks, but next year maybe. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Maybe someday you could have Ella and Sid be your YCC coach. That's the dream.
Yeah, go Warhawks, right, Ella?
I don't know about that.
Go Triangle. Triangle rocks.
One thing we can all agree on is go Pleiades. So we can just end with that.
Go Pleiades.
Go Pleiades.
There we go.
Come to UNC.
Alrighty. Sounds good. Thanks everyone for watching. That was the Send It Back, and like we mentioned, the Triforce BUDA 2017 YCC Finals is coming up next. Thank you.
Thank you.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is the second leg of the YCC Send It Back. This is the 2017 boys final on Ultiworld. This is between Triforce and BUDA. I've got two awesome players from that game with me. My name's Sol Yanuck, and I was a Triforce coach during this game. Still am a Triforce coach. I went to Carleton. I grew up in the Triangle, play for Ring, things like that. So let's have Marcel. Can you give us a rundown on your experience and who you play for, where you're from?
Yeah. So what's up? My name is Marcel Oliart. I feel like I'm giving a job interview or something. Yeah. So I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, which is in the suburbs around Boston. I went to Newton North High School. I played YCCs with BUDA Mixed in 2015 and then with BUDA Open in 2016 and 2017. Then I went on to Pitt, where I currently am going to be a senior starting in the fall. And I played club with Slow White, Boston Mixed team for the past 2 years as well. Yeah. Liam?
I'm Liam Searles-Bohs. I'm from Durham. Grew up in the Triangle. Played Ultimate in the Triangle for the last 10 years or something. I played for Triforce for 4 years, then moved on to UNC Darkside, and I play for UNC Darkside and Ring at this point.
Awesome. Good intros, everybody. Good start.
Thanks, Saul.
No problem. Marcel, I have a pretty good sense of where we were coming from, and I'll have Liam definitely give us the player perspective, but can you give us an idea of what the tournament was like for BUDA coming into this game and how you were feeling coming out of bracket play?
Yeah. So this was a pretty cool year because I think we as an entire team didn't really know how good we were until we were in the finals. So we saw Cincinnati in quarters, and we played a pretty solid game against them. One of their good players, Jordan Monin, got injured on the first play of the game, which was really tough for them. Then in semis we faced Texas Two-Step, who got that nice win. They got that nice win over Seattle, and that was a tough game, but we won that. So we were feeling like we had kind of just finally realized who we were as a team and our full potential, at exactly the right moment going into finals. So I think we were feeling pretty confident, pretty stoked.
Liam?
Yeah, and we played a really good Foggy Bottom team in quarters. I guess that was quarters, right? Wasn't the last
quarters.
Game there was that weird year where we had
power pools, I think.
Power pools, but this year was normal. This was power pools. 2017 was power pools?
Because we played BUDA in the first game of the tournament.
Yeah, so then quarters we played Foggy Bottom, and weird game against them. I think there was a rain delay, thunder delay. Came back, won by a couple, but really tight game against a good team. And then we played Devil in semis, another really good competitive classic Devil team. Played a really tight game, really great players on that team, Connor Russell, Kevin Trey, who plays with you now, Marcel. Yeah, a bunch of good players on that team. So we'd definitely been tested before this game, and we're feeling...
We had the harder path to the finals, and so at the end of the day, we felt a little bit gypped because we ended up, playing the nine seed who ended up finishing 5th at the tournament, and then played Devil, who we thought was super good, and also they had a 6'8" guy on their team.
As the pull goes up from Tyler French, Boston begins on offense.
Little side stack here, Marcel.
Yeah, we ran a lot of side stack, a lot of split stack this year. Tried to get our cutters in isolation. We really struggled against your junk sets in the first half here, and your FM sets as well. Took us a little while to figure that out.
Yeah, Saul, you're going to have to comment on any defense, because I certainly didn't do any of that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one thing that we see early in the game is we really had a good sense of who your biggest contributors were on offense, Marcel. You know, you, Harry, Dinger, and Chris were like very much the engine of your offense. And so we were just trying to rotate our matchups until we found the right ones. And to some extent we got there. But I think the big thing about this game is we thought that we would win if we could just get you to throw deep, and you all just stubbornly refused to throw deep almost the entire game. And we like had no idea how to deal with that.
Dinger, Chris, and Walden play a lot of catch in this game, just working it from the handler set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also shout out just all the other cutters that we had on that O-line. Like Matt Saban here, absolute workhorse for this O-line. Stephen Mock as well. Sam Hersteg as well. Like, maybe not the big names like you said, but they really stepped up and just like embraced working it like as hard as they could this entire game, which was sweet.
Super fair. There's an awesome Ryan Dinger butt slap on Tim Schock right there. I don't know if we can get a replay of that, but that was my favorite play of the game.
Oh, that's lucky by Chris. Sheesh.
One thing that, like, I really thought we put a ton of pressure on Chris this entire game. And, you know, I played 2 years in college with Chris, and I'm a huge fan of Chris, but even watching it afterwards, I'm stunned by how few turnovers he threw this game. He had, like, 1 or 2, maybe, but we were on him.
He had one that even came, like, got called back, and that might have been the only one.
Right. Yeah, like Jordan and Jake were crossing over a ton to guard Chris, and when they weren't, we had Michael on him. And he was changing direction 2-3 times every time he wanted to get the disc, but he kept getting open eventually and was just pretty unflappable the whole game.
That's Jordan Perry and Jake Taylor and Michael Lee for those listening at home.
Yes, very fair.
Last names.
Last names, right.
Yeah, this was an interesting year having the college players, because we had Chris and Kai coming from freshman years of college. I don't know the ones from Triforce, but
yeah, the last year of the college players being able to come back, that was definitely something that we pushed for, because we had a bunch of guys who were had played a year of college but had played a bunch of time for Triforce, and is that's like who are our college players? Sol, Jordan Perry.
Yeah, he was at
definitely
Charlotte, right?
Jordan Perry, Michael Lee for sure. Oh, Jake Taylor.
Jake Taylor with the goal.
Gets it into the end zone in the hands of Jake Taylor.
I don't remember if we had a ton of college players this particular year, Liam. I know Jordan.
Was it just Jordan and Michael? It's got to be more than that,
It
right?
may have been. The chat can help us out. I'm sure Michael's in the chat, and Michael can give us the full breakdown. We graduated a ton of players after this year. 2017 was like very much a peak year for the program.
No peaks. The program is eternal.
That's the first example of the classic Chris Padilla lefty backhand. I'm sure we'll see it a lot this game.
This is just Chris and Dinger making 5 cuts each right now.
We've got Tyler French on Ryan Dinger right now, and then Michael Lee on Chris Padilla.
Yeah.
Those are both pretty constant matchups, especially the Tyler French Ryan Dinger matchup was something that we did all game and was a really great matchup.
Didn't Tyler get hurt in this game and just like played through it?
Yeah, we'll get there. Tyler like almost broke his wrist, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael. You know Michael's mad at himself for getting beat up line by Chris there.
From BUDA, take another look at the scoring play.
It's okay.
Landau hits the under. Padilla.
Offense is supposed to score.
Kind of jogs his defender. Position. And also worth noting, chatting with Tim Schock of BUDA.
So one thing that's like very apparent about this game is there are a lot, like it's a very physical game both ways, and I think to some extent both teams wanted it that way, but also later in the game things get a little more reckless, and like it's definitely goes both ways. Oh, Liam deep to Peter.
I thought that was a pretty good throw. I think Peter
it was. I'm sure I told you it was a good look.
Both the Triangle and BUDA beat Atlanta. And
yeah,
Minnesota.
I think there's a few plays in this game on both sides that we want back.
It's definitely true.
That meant that both teams got a bye into quarters.
That definitely. You get to see Peter go deep though, so
in order to reach this final,
you're not missing
honestly,
out with that one.
I think this game, I think BUDA did the best job keeping Peter out of the end zone of anyone we played all weekend.
That's definitely true. I think
Peter was good for like 4 or 5 goals every game.
We definitely threw deep to Peter a lot in our first pool play game, and it seems like BUDA made some really good adjustments coming into this game, and they like made a bunch of deep shots really hard, and we made a bunch of plays, but they definitely did the best job stopping our deep game, or at least challenging our deep game of any team we played.
Marcel, did y'all have a game plan specifically coming into this game besides, you know, oh, Liam is the best player and they can only win if Liam has it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, those of us that guarded Liam in this game heard a lot of Liam talk, for sure.
Right.
Oh, here. This is me trying to guard him deep. I just whipped this.
I want to highlight this play. I really want to highlight this play because this is the only point all game they force flick, and we score in 2 throws on Jordan throwing a deep flick to Liam. And then they go away from a flick force the entire game and feed Liam unders for like almost the entire game. And from my perspective, y'all would have won if you had tried forcing flick more, because all it turned into was Liam, you know, teeing up backhand deep shots.
Yeah.
I also like that play. I like that play. It's super similar to a play that happened the next year in the college championships where Marcel was guarding.
The one where I tip it?
Yeah, where Marcel tips it. And really should have been a D for sure. I got lucky again. I feel like the same thing happened on that play. I didn't play it super well, but it was a good throw and happened to make a play.
I'll get one on you someday.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, Orion Cable announcing himself. Boom.
Dude, that dude is like 4 years old too.
Yeah, he just finished sophomore year. Yeah, we had a few young players on this team who played big roles. Orion on O-line, and then James, what's his last name? James and Zach Riley. Yeah, James Karen. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, and Zach Riley, who were both had just finished their sophomore years, which is pretty rare, at least in BUDA, for someone that young to make it. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they went on to be leaders for the next 2 years of the team.
This team was pretty. This Triforce team was pretty old.
Yes. So there's the one deep flick we convinced Chris to throw. And the other thing that has me pulling my hair out about this game is that our D-line completely lacked any kind of like stabilizing handler. And so our entire plan was try to get Tyler the disc under and then have him boost it to someone. And that really broke down in this game.
That sounds like a great plan, Sol. That sounds like fun ultimate. It worked a couple times. It worked.
Oh yeah.
Times you needed it to work.
Apparently it worked enough.
Yeah.
And then we're out of cleats the rest of the weekend coaching the Triforce team. I believe they got into maybe one other game against Clapham, but for the most part, that canceled flight in Colorado.
He had such a good inside backhand. That's so much touch.
And the funny thing is that he didn't use that throw almost at all for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, like Jordan came into this game. Oh, Peter with the deep shot.
That's a crazy catch. John McDonnell. That's like a classic. Put his arm around someone and just catch it in front of them. You can see that he makes plays like that all the time. Dark side practice, all this whole year for Triforce, he just made tons of those like weird plays. People call him the cheese man for that reason.
I feel like in general in this game, a lot of like 50-50 balls came down just like caught, like not D'd. Like a very high percentage of like great catches were made in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those 50-50s that I threw came down in our hands, luckily. That's a really good throw from Jake. It's a little Japan up line to the break side.
Yeah.
From the force side, that flat inside, and then attacking the break side.
Yeah, we resorted to that motion because Jordan refused to push up to an even position on the trap side.
Dinger to the sideline for Padilla.
Okay, so this is, I think, the first point where we've got James Boyd guarding Harry Wolf-Landau. And Boyd, backstory on Boyd is that he strained his hamstring 2 weeks before YCC's doing an unnecessary optional track workout. And then we he was in flats the entire tournament until quarters. And that's a huge layout D from Boyd.
Huge block from James Boyd.
So Boyd played anytime there was an injury, we got him off the field because we knew he was going to injure himself if he played too much. But yeah, he has 2 or 3 blocks in this game, which were sort of bonus balls for us because we didn't think he would play at all at the tournament. Yep, Tyler throws deep again.
That's a pretty good throw. Yeah, that's really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think James Boyd, when he came in quarters, I think he got a layout D on the first point he was on.
Yes. Yes.
Got a big layout D on it under just immediately. We assumed he wouldn't play during the whole tournament with his hamstring, but came back and was a really big contributor for us. I think maybe led the team in blocks in 3 games.
Another Chris lefty gets y'all out of jail.
I know. We just couldn't switch the field here.
Athletic man defense, backing their cutters a little bit, but trying to beat them to the spot under. Thrower does a good job of hitting the outside shoulder of Oliart there to not give Boyd a shot. Landau puts up the big huck.
Double coverage and nice.
That's a great D, Teddy Ranby.
Yeah. On Orion.
Little Bambi Orion. I'm sure he wins that one with 2 hands these days.
Yeah, this was a lot of our D-line offense was between Teddy Ranby and Tyler French.
Yes.
The East Chapel Hill High School connection.
That was a crazy catch.
For Triforce, Tyler French able to redeem his earlier huck turnover.
I think something that's interesting is basically all summer Teddy Ranby was playing on our O-line, and then pretty late in the summer we switched John McDonnell onto the O-line and put Teddy Ranby on the D-line. I think that was a really important switch for us. John became a really important contributor to our O-line, and Teddy was crucial for our D-line. So I think that was a really good coaching decision after a not great Stonewalled, which is the club tournament that
such a point throw by Chris.
Yeah, it's a really good throw.
It's a great throw from Chris, and it's also just you can just walk in there and catch it if you were aware from the back of the side stack.
Yeah, that was pretty horrific defense from me too.
Yeah, it's Daniel Mills in that position, the general. It's just one step. He's just got to be in better position next time.
Yeah, that was my first D point, and I came out and promptly got toasted on a butterfly cut. So we'll see if I get another D point during this game.
Both teams cross a lot this game. Like,
That's true.
late in the game, it becomes very clear that both teams' stars are like really slowing down. I think.
Yeah, Kai Lorenzo played a lot.
Oh!
He got pretty gassed by the end of the game, chasing you around. I mean, he was tasked with every team's like biggest matchup the entire tournament. We just had him running so much.
Yeah. So there's the first blue.
I don't know if that's a legit.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad bid.
If it's just you would have gotten a TMF if we were keeping track of
That's
Can I
Eric
get-
Liu. He went to high school with me.
Nice.
Oh!
Heavy contact there against Searles-Bohs, and that really should get a card as well.
That one's tough.
That's just
That one's not as bad if
There wasn't a
they
ton
didn't
of
just get
contact,
carded.
but- Yeah, it wasn't a ton of contact, but it doesn't feel like you're really going to have a play there most of the time.
Yeah.
Play right here. Did that skip for you guys? Was it smooth?
No problems for me.
Okay. Just me. That's weird, yeah.
Can I get your an opinion from both of you on instructional observers?
You first, Marcel.
Me first?
Yeah.
I think I like them. I haven't put a ton of thought into it, but for youth especially, I think it's good to have. I don't have a strong opinion on observers in general, to be honest.
Gotcha.
I'm usually focused.
We're running
on other
zone
things in the
here.
game.
By the way, this is our only point of zone. And it was going pretty well, and then Chris started running because he knows what this zone is because I taught it to him that school year. So that was tough. Liam,
Big mistake,
you want to... Yeah, man.
Instructional observers. I'm not a fan of instructional observers. I think you should either have observers or not have observers. And I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have a coach give a rules advice, which feels like basically the only thing the instructional observers do or have the power to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like full self-officiation. I like observers, but I felt like the instructional observers were just kind of confusing because I never really knew what they had the power to do or what they didn't have the power to do. Didn't really seem like they had any power to do anything.
Right.
But, I mean, I'd rather just have observers, I think.
Yeah, I agree. From a coach's perspective, instructional observers... Okay, so one aside here. One thing that I think made us really hard to play against is that almost every member of our O-line was pretty dynamic in throwing deep and also running deep. So, like, if teams were, like, not just going to stand behind us and ask us to play offense, like, half the way up the field, we were going to have a lot of different connections that we saw in this game. My last thought on observers is just, like, from a coach's perspective, it's challenging to be on the clock in the way that like instructional observers still keep track, but also I wish that they could provide an actual ruling for our players because like a youth tournament is very imperfect in terms of the calls that get made, and in my experience if there's an observer that can make a ruling, it makes the spirit of the game better instead of the specific game that's happening. Like the teams get less contentious when calls actually get resolved.
Pass there and a great catch by Padilla reaching back on the throw behind him.
Yeah, I think that's true.
That's Dinger who hangs on through some physical, to say the least, dump defense.
Yeah, I definitely think there was a lot of physicality in this game. I think there was a lot of just like baseline physicality that was definitely like expected and okay with both teams. I think there were like a few plays. You'll see there's a play on, I think it's on Chris Padilla, on one of these points that's not a great one. But overall, I think like the little bits of physicality that are happening every point between a matchup, I think was pretty accepted and like I think was like a pretty good thing between the teams.
Yeah. I just want to shout out our defense for getting beaten to the open side for like 30 yards in a row up the field there. Really funnel them to that small space. That's how we play D.
Here we take another look. It's a little late in the count, but Dinger downfield beats his man to the open side area. They're representing, I believe, the USAU ACE College Development Program, but they're handing out flyers for the.
Do we want to talk a little bit about personnel? Seems like we've talked a little bit, but not as much a baseline. You want to introduce our O-line, Sol?
Sure. Let's see. This is Daniel Zhu, centering to Jordan Perry. Daniel is at UNC, plays for Darkside. Jordan has played for Charlotte and has played some for the Raleigh Flyers.
Brickyard.
Cutting under Brickhouse.
My bad.
Yeah, we got.
Right.
Yeah, he moved to Indiana to play for Brickyard.
Oh, that's a killer.
Oh, this is Aaron Winmore. Gumball.
And it's caught. And it's in the end zone.
The glue that holds the O-line together. Aaron was a born and bred member of the YCC program. Pride and joy of Carolina Friends.
Here I believe we're only going to see the Huck.
Go Quakers, baby.
Winmore is able to reel in despite great current college play.
Yeah, that's a connection I was really used to. Kind of a safety blanket for me on the O-line. I'd played with all through high school, and really great late stall, always going to get open for you, cutter. Great in the end zone, really quick cutter. Aaron Winmore.
Boston moves quickly down the field. Padilla looking to the end zone.
Oh.
It's tipped and it's knocked away.
Great defense from Liam.
The rare Searles-Bohs block. Once in a blue moon.
Marcel, who's 77 here?
Hits the reset.
He's guarding Teddy in the red hat.
I don't remember numbers.
And low pass turned over.
Still a few mistakes to get out of the system.
Where?
Great.
77.
I think he's in the middle of the back of the end zone.
On the goal line.
Nice isolation defense from Carolina.
Oh, is that that's Sam Herstag.
Gotcha.
He's
very
honestly,
good.
Yeah,
There was a little bit of switching going on.
he's very good. Yeah, he was old for his grade. I'm pretty sure he's like 19 this year, but still able to play or something.
Sure.
I forget where he went to college. I know he biked across the country, which was pretty cool. Like right after this tournament.
Just left?
Yeah. No. He did some prep, but yeah. Essentially. Yeah, here you see Dinger and Chris and me, I think, crossing over, so the lines are starting to get tighter.
Yeah, and that last point was for half, so we had a little bit of a kill line there. Got the block, but then couldn't convert.
If our D-line was more efficient in putting in breaks, I feel like this would have been a 15-12 game like it was at the beginning of pool play. But, of course, both teams had roughly the same number of turnovers, so I'm sure Dan Horgan feels the same way.
Yeah, I think that first game was maybe a little less windy, and also just the legs were a little less fresh at the end of the weekend, so things got probably a little less clean, especially for a D-line.
It's painful just watching me just like jog up the open side like nothing is wrong in the world, and then I throw a turn.
Oh.
There's a little John McDonald action.
After the high forehand floats over the head of the intended receiver.
I talked to Harry at Carleton after this game, and he said coming away from that game, he thought John McDonald was like the most athletic player at the tournament. Which I thought was funny, because like he's definitely athletic, but he's mostly just sneaky.
Most coordinated player at the tournament. Fun story. This whole tournament, we were talking about how sneaky John was. Our cheer was John McDonald, sneaky, 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 and that was because I was in a room with him, in a bed with him during the tournament, and the first night he does some sleep talking, and I woke up and he just said, sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. So, that's a little story about John McDonald.
Yeah, a bit of a jump ball for Triforce, but again, they're a pretty deep and athletic team.
Yeah, Peter was kind of feeling it this day.
Yeah. Take Chris deep is a good strategy here.
Yeah, that's a good catch from Jake.
have the opportunity
Yeah.
to watch the top club teams unless they watch them on tape. It can be difficult to get.
I will go on the record saying I did not instruct any of our players to go deep on Chris. I had not thought of that, but they just seemed to end up doing it a lot.
Is a great opportunity for them to watch some
This is a pretty incredible play from Tyler. This is where
Tyler hurt himself.
Oh, that's the play, yeah.
Yeah, Padilla tries to Dinger, a Boston.
It's maybe a little bit dangerous, but it was kind of a hospital ball that Chris Padilla put up.
Right.
Yeah.
So golden opportunity for Triforce. Searles-Bohs.
Right, come on.
Pick it up. It'll be Oliart on the mark.
Teddy, get in the right position.
Here. I think he turned this actually.
Yeah, I don't think we score. This is
we
me.
got like one break each half, I think.
Me, John McDonald,
in
and
this game total.
Teddy Ranby in the end zone set. The UNC end zone set. I probably just need to move it a little faster here.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a triangle timeout. Dominator cut there. And lots of isolation for the hand.
You know, we need James Boyd in the end zone set.
Yeah, this is the turn.
Oh. Misses the target. So a mistake for each team. Looking for the.
So this is an awesome example for all you young triangle players out there. When we defend a side stack, we want to put one person on an island and front the ISO cutter, because this is where we get our blocks. Oh God!
Again on the block. BUDA best pick on someone else.
Hey, if you're fast, why not? This is what's that? That's a little. What do we call that? Flood off the dead disc for the D-line? Flock.
The flock.
Flocka.
Oh,
that's a bummer.
It's tough.
Michael Lee, that's why we don't let you handle.
Stout.
Pass a little behind Tanny there. He gets a hand on it, but enough pressure from BUDA that they were able to knock it down, get the show, to get the disc back. But
I guess Chris is giving us a few more turns than I thought.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening here. Who came off? That. We put Jordan on. Jordan Perry on.
Third chance this point.
Triangle putting a horizontal.
I guess we're in a.
The goat.
Their D-line, not.
Oh, another drop. What is
that? That one hurts.
Dinger to the disc.
And they're probably going to score this one.
I think we punched this in. Played pretty good defense for.
Yeah, that was
all counts here.
We didn't just let someone run open to the middle of the field that time. But,
yeah.
Then I stopped guarding people. So.
Yeah, Padilla, a couple of turnovers on break attempts earlier in this point.
A classic Chris Padilla falling over backhand. He has a few of those in this game.
Yeah, that's a great throw.
For BUDA. Quick fake to the inside.
I think in this game he has one to like the open side. Like he didn't even have to get around a mark. He just falls down and it works.
Yeah, Chris is just a magician in convincing you that he's going to throw a flick, and then he's just going to throw a backhand or a lefty backhand.
He has every release point.
Yeah, the amazing thing to me is that he wasn't a handler before the previous college season, right? Is that true?
Last year he was a cutter for O-line.
Yeah, cutter for BUDA. Pretty amazing to make that kind of transition.
But it's going to hang up there. Can Perry make a play? He cannot.
Oh, wow, that's a good D.
Grab the guy.
DiLorenzo goes over.
Honestly, Kai and I matched up at practice this entire year. Just like I got so many reps against him, and that was such a great like formation period for me. I got so much better just battling out with him because he's so good.
Yeah, he's a great player.
BUDA unfazed though.
Played for the Middlebury team that won D3 in 2019.
Yeah,
one of the stars on that team.
Peter Barry runs the first cut from the top.
Oh, I think we got the John McDonald show coming up.
Novel look there.
Yeah, this is another questionable shot from Searles-Bohs, whoever that is.
again, it's going to be covered.
This is one of
And a huge
Oh,
shot on
dang.
the other side for the Triforce hold.
one of the most amazing catches
John
I've ever
McDonald
seen.
Noble played a really good game, but he gets dunked on.
Roofs the defender.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Marcel. He's in such good positions so many times.
Just a pure 50-50.
Exactly.
Not a great throw from Searles-Bohs. But
That's a pretty good tagline for this game, Liam.
makes the point.
Yeah.
We're gonna see both of those cheers.
It's a good tagline for this team.
These teams we're watching
Not a
right
very
now.
good throw from Searles-Bohs,
We're gonna see
but
those teams
wow,
face
that
off in the next
guy is
couple of
really
years as some of the
athletic.
top teams in the college.
That's true. North Carolina is not going anywhere anytime soon. They continue to reload with youth talent. So does Carleton. They have great coaching.
Yeah, here's Boyd again, hunting on some unders.
Absolutely, that man is hunting.
Oliart able to get free later in the count after the first dump was shut down.
Jordan is playing so aggressively on Chris every time, and like Chris makes him pay for it a bunch, but he's also
Boyd.
Boyd.
Big bid.
It's a really fun matchup to watch.
The offense. Landau's a big force downfield, but they're the ones breaking the mark the most.
Yeah, there it is. It just falls over to the open side.
Oh,
that's like
It's a great catch by Walden, though.
hate to get beat on the open side that many times, but I mean, when you're that close on whatever 3 layouts,
You have to think that
it's tough to.
Carolina has an adjustment coming.
Yeah, all you triangle kids, all you triangle kids, and especially you BUDA kids watching, if you're laying out, that means you're in good position. Is that Dan? Dan, let me know if that's right in the chat, okay?
I can confirm that right now. It's definitely true. All you D-liners out there,
Despite
if you lay
Carolina
out, it's good
repeatedly
defense.
running clean pull play sets as Liam
That's another one I thought was a pretty good throw, but I think John had this one and got fouled, and
Right.
he's the kind of guy who just isn't going to call that most of the time.
Breaks going their way.
Cairn checks it in for Boston.
Interesting. Carolina triangle sets a bit of a junk on the turn. You can see number 28 Taylor playing well.
Far
under
too
man,
nice.
Trusting
Don
that
McDonald.
Number 27 will catch him on the last back help defense. Which
Oh, Dan Zoo.
Dan Zoo with the huge sky.
That's honestly,
Over Kaji Lorenzo.
like, I don't want to exaggerate this, but that is kind of a legendary play in Triforce lore. That was very important.
Yeah, it's a really important play in this game.
Unable to overload
Dan Zoo.
those poaches and kind of split
Best,
under the deep man. I mean, you usually want to split
Best
the
melee
deep
player
super
in
hard.
College Ultimate. Saying it right now.
Oh, my boy Harry McNamara might have a thing or two to say about that.
Wow.
Barry's got it.
Harry will not leave Pittsburgh before he beats Dan Zoo in Smash.
He has been piling up the goals here.
Does anyone ever leave Pittsburgh, Saul?
Pittsburgh
Marcel?
doesn't leave them, Liam.
Look at that one.
Carolina, Searles-Bohs showing no fear.
I mean, I think the whole last college season we've been issuing challenges. Not me, but the Smash aficionados on Darkside. We've got a console that we brought to Smoky Mountain and played some exhibition games. So, I mean, I think the call is out. Yeah, I won't play. I have no idea how to use one of those thingies.
I'm not good at Melee, but I've gotten pretty good at Smash Ultimate.
James Boyd playing tight D on Landau. Landau doing great work to hit all 3 points of his cut, not just hitting one space and dying.
Okay, back to
Boyd's
Frisbee.
tight to him, but they've switched now.
I just want to make one comment, which is that Cody Mills, who's an awesome color commentator, and Charlie, who's doing the play-by-play, they're great commentators, but they absolutely butcher some names this game. Like Teddy Ranby and Harry Wolf Landau, they just cannot get them right. It gets really tough at times.
At least Matas isn't playing.
Yeah. Oh my God, Liam, you want to tell the Matas situation?
Right there, but...
Oh yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. So Matas is one of our top players in 2017. One of our top players in 2016. Really fantastic, dynamic, athletic cutter. And he hurt his hamstring also about a month before the tournament and worked it back, worked really hard to get back, and retore it that first game against BUDA. So a huge loss for us and one of our most important players.
Can't remember if he was a captain of this team, but one of the most important team guys on this team was the center of a lot of our team culture, and but his name is really complicated. It's Natas Sinavichus or something like that. And there's actually a moment in our 2016 or 2015 highlight video where it cuts out and we hear his name pronounced by either Charlie or Keith, I think. It was one of our favorite parts of those highlight videos.
Yeah.
Coach Tim Schock coming off the field for BUDA, having just talked to his D-line.
I'll shout out Liam Hardacker. He was a big part of our team. He was really good. He's like as tall as Orion, but pure muscle. And he just had too many ankle problems and couldn't play in this tournament.
We mentioned earlier
which was a real bummer.
That BUDA does have a clam in their pocket, but for the most part,
yeah, I think he maybe played a couple points against us, but in that first game.
Yeah, that first game, yeah.
I'm not wrong, but yeah, I was nervous. He is a big person.
He's a big boy.
Oh,
Kai didn't get a read on this.
Yeah, I don't think he ever found it.
Yeah, it looks like De Lorenzo just had a bad read on that play. They were step for step, but
I think that's probably Jordan's only backhand hook of the tournament.
That is nice. Really good throw.
It was really, really well executed.
Look at that big jump from me. Jump up and grab it.
So it's 11-11, and this is the point when both teams just start asking like their best players to just like grit their teeth and play like every point.
Yeah, this is tough. I don't know if I took a point out
open side handler defender
from this point on.
Coaching the lane and stopping a pull play. It looks like Carolina might be going force
Dinger.
Man,
I'm not
shout out to Dinger.
In this game.
Yeah, he absorbs a lot from Tyler.
A lot of bothering.
It does look like force middle, Cody.
Yeah, he had a great game. He had a really good game.
Yeah.
Not a flashy game per se, but really great.
He was for sure like the heart and soul.
Oh, let's go.
Another Orion ball. Holy cow.
Orion Cable climbs the ladder.
Second time today.
Dinger and Harry and just all those other Amherst guys really were like the heart and soul of this team. They're just like very like goofy. Just all of them are the same breed. And it's very infectious. And we really buy into it. At least this year we did.
Yeah, this was a really good BUDA team. Really, I think both these teams were had great top players, but incredibly deep teams with like a bunch of players who are now like really good players at the next level.
Initiating out of the stack.
Interesting offensive approach for Triangle here.
Now, this is where they throw shade at our offense. Unclear if they're trying to run a horizontal offense. Another great throw from Peter.
Peter has been surprisingly lethal throwing deep this game.
He's a great thrower. Underrated thrower for sure. Especially with how dynamic our O-line was. I mean, Jordan throwing deep to Peter or Peter throwing deep to Jordan is a pretty good connection. Sol, do you want to say anything about our offense?
About our offense?
Since they're throwing shade at it.
I mean, I think this was like the peak of John Nethercutt like coaching the youth to play his vision of like the spread offense, where it was like foundationally challenging deep and then like taking big unders when defenses adjusted. And we found that a lot of youth defenses just didn't adjust. And so we just ended up playing like a very high volume, deep throwing offense. And in recent years, that's adjusted a little bit. But this was the personnel and the year of that sort of coming to a head, of that being like our main approach.
Per se.
Yeah. Marcel, did y'all play any zone at all? Because it seemed like you just guarded your person like every point.
Yeah, we played only person defense this entire tournament, as far as I remember. Wow, this one was tough.
Ooh, that's tough.
This one was tough. Yeah, and I think I mean, we played, even in like practices, we didn't even set up many junks, if any, and that's why I think we specifically struggled against you in the first half when you against your junk set because we didn't get that many reps in practice, like practicing our own junks and like things like that. So
trying to work that break side.
Now looking
Oh, Marcel, it's your moment.
Play haunts me. I lose it, and this is a crazy catch. Oh, that play haunted me for months. This is the break here. This is the last break of the game.
On that play, and it's the dish.
Oh.
Teddy Lambie.
Triangle goes up 13-12 after the improbable catch from Lambie.
Apparently, I have a theme of tipping D's in finals.
To stick with it. BUDA gets up for the block, but it tips.
Need to break the curse.
Probably 3-foot-high horizontal layout for Ramby to
Yeah.
hang on.
Just unlucky there.
Here we hopefully can get another look.
And lucky for
They
us.
shoot a speculative huck that turns over.
Yeah, speculative at best there from Tyler.
That was your gameplay, right? Get it to him and have him jack it?
Yeah.
East Ultimate, baby.
Live and die.
He sees it only to turn around.
He ended up at Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this was going to be Tyler's year. Tyler and Will Lindquist were carrying Georgia Tech this year.
This is a kill line for Triforce.
And our O-line player Stephen Mock also went there.
True.
Rolls in with some pace. Boston needs a hold.
Yeah, we've got everybody crossed over this point.
Locked up by Barry. BUDA working through their resets, but high pressure downfield.
What, 4 more points in the game? 3 more?
Padilla and Dinger trying to work it
Right.
around. Cutter's kind of letting them down, getting a little too deep, allowing Triforce.
I think
to
we
block
struggled
out
in this
still
game with
under.
having our stacks too deep. Like, I feel like we missed out on a lot of open deep cutters because they were just starting off in
BUDA's
too
in
deep.
decent position right now if they can
Right.
stack to the left and get one cutter in isolation.
I think that was at least a result of the way that we were telling our guys to play the handlers. But there were also plenty of examples of us getting over aggressive and giving up those like upfield insides and still didn't lead to.
So patient.
Yeah, this was great defense. Jordan.
And a call.
That one was a long time coming. That whole game.
Yeah, there were a few of those floaty swings that got caught.
And you see Perry pumped up as he calls a timeout. Trying first here.
It's one of the
Love the
hypest timeout calls.
Enthusiastic timeout.
Triforce history.
Dia and Dinger were doing a great job that whole play, but just
It's like a prominent part of our highlight video.
back in the cutters was really forcing them to do a lot
Dinger
of
gets that D.
Oh,
that's
then
it.
reset sales over Padilla.
I won't.
taking
No, I
We
shouldn't
got-
spoiled it.
Here you see Dinger look upfield.
We got to shout out Henry here. Henry was like
Ends up throwing the swing to
an assistant coach who
Henry
came
Fisher.
to like,
Perry
yeah, Henry Fisher.
outreaches
He came to like
He's a-
our midseason
That
tournament.
tiny guy.
He's there at the tall one, and he was there with Ring, and he was awesome all weekend, just keeping everybody engaged. Marcel, Michael Lee asked us to break down what this timeout play was from us, but I really want to hear the huge brain timeout call on the defensive side from you and Dinger.
Yeah, so the plan was that I was going to fully take away the around and willingly be roasted up line. And Dinger was going to poach off and get the layup block. It was scripted entirely.
Oh, man.
It's a good
That's
plan.
next level meta.
Yeah, for real. Big brain.
More
Big brain.
of a switch really than anything else.
Pull out the card that gets them a turn. That's how they come out.
Yeah,
Perry on the disc, get confident
well,
for Triforce.
let's wait. Let's
but
just watch it happen.
He also, at least
You
judging
essentially have the offensive line out there right now for Triforce.
true, there is a lot of the offense.
Yeah, we had
there.
what we
He's
had
gonna be on the mark. He's a
4
big
people crossed.
6'2" mark, smart player. So
Jordan, Liam,
no cheap breaks.
Peter,
Oliart's
Peter.
gonna be on the first dump,
Three.
which is Searles-Bohs. Bohs toasts him
Boom.
up line.
Perfect execution from Dinger.
Backside to get it back for Boston.
yeah.
Dinger.
I had no idea it was there.
Great awareness.
I thought I was just
Great
gonna
cut
coast in,
from Searles-Bohs to
but
get open, and
really
Oliart
incredible.
He's a
Dinger's
really
right
intense
there with
player.
a heads-up play. Huge for BUDA.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing where like it's a physical play, but like I have no problem with that play. I feel like we were both entitled to that space, and like it's going to be a little bit physical, and like of course like you have to have the body awareness to like be able to make that play if you're going to try and make that play. But in a game like this, like a player like Dinger, like I really trust him to make an intense, like maybe a little bit physical play, but have my health and my my physical health in his mind when he does make that play. And I think he did a really good job of that while making a really, really athletic and incredible play.
And the poach now giving an opportunity for Boston to get a couple of Quick passes through, gain some yardage. Padilla here.
And this is really nice offense here.
Yeah.
Really good throw from Chris and then under. And I think something that's a little different about this possession, it feels like BUDA was a little more willing to hit slightly tighter unders.
Huge play by Padilla
In order to
driving them this point against
like be able to actually get upfield motion, which they weren't doing on that earlier possession.
Yeah.
Also,
I also
probably
think at this point, Harry has run Boyd absolutely into the ground and is getting a lot of what he wants. Oh, that is a sick D from Dean.
It's a really, really good defense.
Dean Merritt. Donovan, was he a Donovan finalist? I don't know if he was a finalist. He definitely deserved to be a finalist. Oh.
And it's right back to Boston.
Chris Padilla continuing to do work.
Yeah, Chris point blocked me during cut tryouts the previous fall. And that was very surprising. Oh, yeah.
That's a tough bid.
That's
there.
a tough. Yeah.
Not a great
tough
bid.
one, yeah.
But don't like to see the defender hit the
I don't mind the bid, just adjusts it so you don't land in the legs.
Right.
Boston ties it up.
Just a bit more horizontal.
Like the game might have slipped through their fingers earlier in the point. Oh man, we got a lot to look at.
Wow.
Let's take a look back through some of the moments in this.
There's a lot going on there.
Overflowing with highlights.
It's a long point.
Let's see the block that got it back for Boston initially. See Searles-Bohs here. He goes up line.
Oh no.
And Dinger from the backside. What a play.
Well, that is good somersault for him from me. Backward somersault there. Didn't know I had that in my repertoire.
Marcel, what's Dan Horgan saying to you right now?
And Boston able to get it back.
Is this Universe?
In the chat?
No, I mean like on the line that point. No, this is 13-13
I
game
see
to
what you
15.
mean.
And just see it there.
I mean, Dan is all business. He was just giving us stability and honestly, like, at least the way I play, I never know the score, so I knew like it was tight and it was near the end of the game, but I didn't know specifically it was 13-13, and I honestly think like a lot of like all of us on the team just like we're doing the same thing, you know, had the same mindset.
I think
super fair.
Late in this game, we shifted our defensive strategy a little bit. Sol, you want to talk about that? Or do you want to divulge that?
I don't really remember. So one thing to note about this point is Jordan is currently cramping on the sideline, so we pulled Tyler over to play an O point. So I think this is the best example of like the pressure kind of getting to us and everybody just trying to force it towards Liam for most of the point. And you can kind of see that in some of our throwing progressions at this point. But, I mean, you know, we ran some junk in the first half and had some success, but we felt like we played with, like, the force a bunch. But at the end of the day, we just felt like we were getting enough pressure with, like, matching up and trying to front and push the handlers back. But, I mean, it's very simple stuff. That's, like, stuff that we do basically every point. So...
Yeah, it feels like we shifted a little bit to more forcing middle and fronting.
Definitely.
Which I think was, I don't know if it really got us a block, but I just saw on that last point there was a fair amount of pressure.
I think that Matthew Sabin anticipated that Barry would continue to go underneath and some contact there. A lot of physicality, and we see another blue card issued to Boston. That's their second of the game. One more, and they will get a yardage penalty.
I don't know if they would have gotten a yardage penalty.
2 TMFs for physical play from Boston.
This was definitely the most tense moment of the game for me.
Lorenzo beat up line by that drop step move.
Taylor back to the middle for Searles-Bohs.
Yeah, Jordan was really crucial for a lot of our movement. This is a tight window from Jake. Really great throw. Another somersault. Holy cow.
Jake's got that ice in his veins. Got to have a blader moment once every important game.
You know where the disc is going for Carolina.
Yeah, that's a real. I mean, that's totally different from the blader play, which is the play from the Seattle semi from a year before, where Jake Taylor threw a blade across the stack to a laying out Dylan Lanier on Universe Point.
But I don't know if he threw it to a laying out Dylan Lanier.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan was just lying on the ground there, and Jake threw it right to him.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that was a beautiful throw from Jake. Threw it exactly in between my defender and the help defender. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, Zobel's tall. It's hard to get a throw over him, and I think he had his eyes on that the whole time and just like really didn't have much of a play.
I'm sure
yeah.
There's a little bit of nostalgia and intrigue for them.
Great throw.
In addition to willing their students
game point here for us.
Is there a significance? Is there a significance behind the hat? Or is that just a hat he liked?
My grandfather is a really big Cubs fan, and so I have another Cubs hat that I wear around a lot more, but it's gotten a little old and it doesn't stay on my head very well. So I had this hat that I was wearing. I mean, I kind of just wear a hat, but I have a Cubs fan because of my grandpa, and part of the thought behind it was because my grandpa might be watching and he might enjoy that. So.
That's nice.
Coming down to the wire here in the boys U20 final.
Padilla gets the center, and there's a flex in the lane again for Carolina, just leaving that break side handler open in order to disrupt pull play.
And they do get the under, though, after the swing to the break side.
Yeah, we are just fronting here. This is where Steven Mox caught me, right?
Yeah, it is. He makes a crazy catch here.
Yeah, it's a great catch.
Can't make the play as a huge grab by Steven Mock.
Bummer.
He goes down though with an injury, perhaps.
What happened there?
Coming down awkwardly on
Did he get hurt?
I'm not sure.
He wasn't seriously hurt. He didn't like really tweak anything, but it was enough to take him off in the moment, I think.
Certainly looked very gruesome.
That's how I remember it. Yeah.
It does look like he's going to be able to get up and maybe
yeah, it was just enough
he would be
contact with him.
on that left leg.
Go ahead.
He would be a good choice for me for most underrated player on this team. He was so good for us this year and did not get a lot of credit for it, I think.
Padilla puts up the hanging hook. Mock.
Yeah, when that throw went up, I was like, oh, it's Liam against this kid who I don't know. Like, that's an easy block all day. So that's tough for sure.
Just a strange landing.
Yeah,
that's
and Matt Saban too. Another one that fits in that category.
Yeah, he's solid. He's kind of in terms of his role, is similar to the role that John McDonald had on our
Yeah, it's a good comparison.
Double game point coming up.
Yeah.
Wow, what a game we have on our hands.
EGP.
So I'll just throw out there that I was on the sideline with Henry Fisher right before this point, and I go up to him, and I was like, I really want us to just work it up and score, but in my heart of hearts, I just want Liam to boost it to Peter.
Hangs on to the ground contact, beats his man to the open side up line.
All right, uni-point lines.
Yeah, we've got Tyler crossed over for J-Mac, I think, John McDonald.
For Dan.
I think for Dan. I don't,
yeah.
Was John on this point? John was on this point.
I thought John was on.
I think he was trying to get off. My memory is that he was trying to not play this point. Which I think is funny because he was like, maybe the best player on this team during this game.
Triangle avoids the nightmare of dropping the pull on Universe.
I'll shout out Zach Riley here getting the nod on Universe Point as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I was wondering who that was.
Peter Berry.
Yeah, he's at Cal Poly now. Oh.
In the end zone.
Okay, and this was definitely in, right? He just definitely landed in the end zone.
Now everybody looking at each other.
I think he was, yeah. It's close.
Catches it on the second effort.
That would have been brazy if he'd been in on that. That would have been incredibly climactic.
What a way to end.
And it looks like they're going to agree that he
but yeah, that was a really good deep from Harry. Really deep.
You got good positioning.
You're going to have to just recognize that
I decided to throw for some reason.
We're not going to come to an agreement here. It's going to have to be Barry's disc on the goal line. So it will be
You didn't hesitate much putting that up. You caught it and ripped it.
No, he was deep enough that if I had hesitated, it would have definitely been a turn. Definitely should have been a turn, the way it was. I guess he had a step, but I definitely underthrew it a little bit. A little bit upwind.
I mean, you were going into a pretty stiff wind.
Yeah, it was a pretty serious wind. I tried to throw it really flat and low, which I did, but it died pretty significantly.
And it looks like McDonald, if they can shut it down for a second, it'll be Team D.
And then, yeah, this was a little scary. Got like 4 people in the reset here.
Yeah.
Jordan bailed us out. And then that throw, holy cow. That's an incredible throw.
Don't do this at home, kids.
Half inning.
Peter Barry finishes what he started with the
Liam, is that the best round flick of your career?
From Searles-Bohs on the sideline.
No, I threw a round flick to Dylan in pool play against St. Louis in 2015. That was slightly better. Maybe the most important round flick of my career, though. I don't think that St. Louis game was very close. Now he's got all the hugs. See who actually likes each other. Doug and Henry. Matt O'Connell there. He's coming to
Liam Searles-Bohs
UNC this fall. There was Rutledge Smith, who's also coming to UNC in the background over there.
Marcel, what are the words in the BUDA huddle right now?
Run through the gauntlet of
just, you know, we think, I think we, at the end of this, we, of course it hurt, but I think we believed in our hearts that we just, like, were the best team that we could be at this tournament, like, in this finals game, and, you know, it sucks to come up short, but, like, from, like, what we left on the field, like, we didn't feel like we left anything, so.
Super fair.
Letting Boston have a moment.
Yeah,
I think that game was. Go ahead, Liam.
Yeah, I think like obviously the team could have won that game, and like easily could have flipped or flopped. And I think it was just a really incredible game, and 2 teams that were really deep and like pretty well prepared, and obviously we had really good tournaments and peaked at the right time. And that's like a pretty cool thing when it happens, is like 2 teams meeting their peak in the finals of the most important tournament of the season. So
yeah,
could have gone either way for sure.
I think this game was a big challenge for me as a coach because, you know, we had all these ideas about if we did certain things on defense, then we would get certain results, and like for the most part, BUDA just ended up scoring a lot of the time, just out of sort of grit and persistence, and also to some extent due to our inefficient D-line offense. But it definitely like took me from the attitude of like the way we play offense is the right way to play, and like you got to have guys who can throw deep and cut deep in order to score. And I think that this game complicated that idea for me a little bit.
It's interesting. The hug line is interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like it's tough to like hugs are like an interesting thing. I've been thinking about it. Like I watched a game the other day where somebody like hugged someone after they scored on them, and it was like felt kind of weird. I don't know. Any thoughts, Marcel? How did you feel being hugged by us after this game?
You have to love the respect from
I mean, I kind of don't remember much after the last point of this game. I definitely was emotional. But I mean, it's kind of. I feel like the emotions are running so high right now, and I don't think like anyone really told us to do this. Like, in my memory of it is that this just kind of happened naturally. Like we just started doing this. So I guess it felt right, but also like looking back in retrospect, it's definitely a bit weird. And
yeah, I mean, I love the emotions of these moments, just as long as it doesn't feel like pejorative or something.
Right.
I mean, it's like cool. It's cool to have that respect for sure, and I love that. But as long as it's not like one-sided anyway.
I remember, in a slightly less serious note, I remember this U.S. Open of the same year, I got nut on an odds that every goal he scored at the tournament, he had to go back to the guy who was guarding him, give him a high five, and say, like, good point, which I was super into, because I think that is a super funny thing for Nut to have done.
Oh, that is a tough ring thing to do.
He definitely had to do it to Johnny Bansfield one time, which was a funny interaction.
That's fine. I guess John doesn't score that much, so
right.
John Nethercutt. So it's not the worst person. For like Henry Fisher or something, it might be a little bit.
Whew. All right, everybody, good game. Do we have parting shots? Marcel, you want to do your pit presentation now?
Yeah, everyone come to pit. That's all I got.
Gotcha.
Everyone go to the school that it makes sense for you to go to. It's okay to go to school for Frisbee if it's something you really love. But also think about other things other than Frisbee.
Well said.
Yeah. Everybody wear a mask. And, I don't know, talk to your friends about racism.
Definitely.
Important things like that.
Talk to your teams.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.